Start recording. Okay, this is my first video. It's kind of weird. I feel weird talking to no one, but I have to speak up too. I've done a series of tests. I know I have to speak loud, so if I'm sound like I'm shouting, just think I'm getting into it, I guess. We're gonna study the millennial reign because it's come up so much. For one, the first thing I'd like to say is the only place where I know the reign of the Mashiach is mentioned for 1,000 years of time would be one place in Revelation, or one book, Revelation. So I'm not sure about the other Tanakh. I don't think so. I don't remember ever seeing it, and I don't remember ever seeing it in the apocryphal text as 1,000. But as his kingdom comes, yeah, it's a lot of places. It's everywhere. It's known, but. So the first place we went was to look at the word thousand to see if it, literally meant thousand or if it's figurative. So let's take the rabbit trail we did for that. I never go solely on the Greek text. So it's important to me to go back to the original Hebrew, even when working in the Greek. But we'll show you how we get there. So we're going to go to our typical scripture on this one, Revelation 24. It's all thrones. And they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua and the word of Elohim, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Mashiach 1,000 years. Alright, so let's check that word 1,000. And we can see the Greek writing in here. This is the Textus Receptus. See this? Okay, this is the most adulterated Greek text that we have for the New Testament. If y'all haven't heard me talking about it before, it's where we get all of our earlier translations, the King James, the Reina Valera, Luther's first Bible, whatever he used. They all come from this. And if you do the research on Textus Receptus, you'll find out that Erasmus totally fluffed up the text on purpose. He actually thought some god had him do that. So it's worth checking out. Down here at the bottom, we get another series of Greek text. This is what Blue Letter Bible gives us, the morphological. I'm not sure if that totally means Byzine family, if I said that right, or the eastern side of the world. I'm not sure still to this day what they mean by morphological GNT. But divided from Textus Receptus, we have the Byzantine family and what's called the critical text, which is the more eastern side, the Africa, Ethiopia side, which we find most often is dated older. But we're not getting into that. We're just looking at the word 1,000. So right here, 1,000 is Greek number 5507. Helio. I said that right. So I guess it's said that this 1,000 could be figurative instead of literal. Or that the word 1,000 here could mean an uncertain number. And I don't always go by what they tell us the definition is either. I plug it into context to make sure, because this is whoever did this lexicon. This is their study on the word. So they're saying it means plural of uncertain affinity. I had no idea what affinity meant. Now I know it sounds very close to infinity, which would be a number without end, which would kind of fit then saying that the millennial reign is a number without end. It's not a literal 1,000 years. So let's look up the word affinity. Affinity. And I'm assuming that the lexicon would have been compiled and written sometime in the Middle English, Old English time period. So it's really interesting what we get for the Old English on this word. But besides that, what they're saying it means is a spontaneous or natural liking or sympathy for someone or something. Now notice it's a noun here, okay? And over here in the Greek, they're calling it an adjective. So we already have a little disruption on it. Using it such as he has an affinity for the music of Berlioz. Okay, synonyms for this would be empathy for, rapport with, sympathy for, according with, harmony with, relationship with, and that's what I want to hit on just for a second, bond with, fellow feeling for, closeness with, to, understand for, or of. So let's expand this. All right, looking here. Middle English, in the sense, relationship by marriage. Okay, I think that just hit something there because that's pretty much what this millennial reign concept is even about. It all has to do with the renewing of the covenant, coming back into covenant in the bond of the covenant. Okay? And I think more importantly, it's kind of hard to understand a millennial reign for one without knowledge of Torah. And we'll try to go back to the history on when this millennial reign thing come up because it is suspicious. We'll get there in a minute, but I see how dispensationalism kicked up in it and how when it kicked up in its time. But I'm not focusing on the doctrine of the millennial reign as opposed to what does Revelation actually say about it alone, because it's the only time the 1000 pops up that I'm aware of. So affinity is more of a bond of some sort. So very interesting. They say this is a plural word of uncertain affinity. So being uncertain themselves, they're telling you it's a plural form of affinity. But what type of affinity? They don't know. Unknown. Well, it probably has something to do with marriage the deeper I go. But all right, so let's try to plug it in like it means a number without end and see if that fits. These are the only places it shows up in the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament. Okay. Second Peter's one place. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with Yahuwah as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day. So if we say 1,000 means an unknown number that's too great, let's read it that way. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is to Yahuwah as a great number of years, and a great number of years is as one day. Yeah, that fits. I can see that. That would work. I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy a great number, 260 days. That already don't fit. Because a great number and then a finite number, 260. That's stretching a little too far to say that that word would mean without end. But here's another reason I know it can't be a number without end, according to Revelation, as long as the book is thoroughly accurate and not tampered with. When we talk about the witnesses beheaded in Revelation, without number, 13:7, is that it? So no one could buy or sell? No. No, this is a crowd or a multitude. Y'all remember that? Let's go there. We'll find it. Crowd, a great crowd. There we go. Okay, so that should be 7:9. Yeah, 7:9. Let's go Revelation 7:9. We'll come back to this. So remember, the author of Revelation was supposed to be one author. We have John that authored it. So if John meant to use a word that meant something without number or uncountable, then in Revelation 7:9 it doesn't quite fit the authorship. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number. So if it were a great number of something that he couldn't number, why wouldn't he had used the same word, kilios, or thousand? So already there's a discrepancy there. But we're going to go back and we're going to try to find that in Hebrew, because I don't necessarily trust the Greek anyway. So we're going to, there's three ways of doing this, and the best way that I have found to do this is find, yes, you can find the word thousand by a word search in the English, but because the languages are so convoluted between each other, there might be 3 or 4 different Hebrew words that have been translated over to thousand in English in the King James Version. So that's not really fail-safe. You could simply find the word kilios in the Septuagint somewhere and go from that and make sure the meaning matches. But that's not necessarily a direct match either, because languages change through time, or the way we speak the language changes, idioms change. But if you can find where something in the New Testament was quoted from the Tanakh, then it's almost fail-proof that they're using the same language. So I wasn't sure we were going to find it in there, but the first place I went, 2 Peter 3:8, when I read it in my scriptures, it said he was paraphrasing or quoting Psalm 90, verse 4. Now, I don't know how to show this on the screen, but we're going to get it. All right, the Textus Receptus up here matches, and I'm just going to do a copy and paste, I guess. If I go over 10 minutes, would you let me know, sweetie? I've been going 12 minutes. I'm probably going to have to cut and edit some of this stuff out. That's probably what I'll do. Alright, let's see if yeah, Notepad captures the Greek. That's fine. So we'll go back here, and then I'll pull up an interlinear too so we can see it that way. So that's Textus Receptus. This is the other. You see how it pretty much matches. It's identical, quite literally, except the first part is capitalized. Okay, so I'll open a new tab. We're going to go to Psalm 90, verse 4, and see how this goes down. Psalm 90. We're just going to do a quick read of it and see if possibly, yes, he is quoting it. And I think he's paraphrasing it because the middle part's missing, but I do think it's a match. For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday, and that is a day of yesterday in the Hebrew, when it is past, and as a watch in the night. All right, you see up here, guys, Masoretic text. That's the full text. Okay. So the LF is, you can't see me pointing. The LF is 1,000, okay, which shows up here, right? And we're reading right to left. So we have Kof Yod, so that's 4A, 1,000, LF, and then years. And it plurals it, so it's Amim, I think that's a mem. So it's Shaneh, years, but you see the mem is on it here. Shamom, I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, that's its plural form. Ayin in the sight of, so ayin is here. Is that it? but that would be in thy sight. Anyway, we'll go to that's the Masoretic text. That's the Hebrew. Okay. Down here is the Septuagint. If you're not sure what the Septuagint is, you should get familiar with it because that's the earliest preservation of scripture we have on the apocryphal text that I'm aware of. Maybe some were in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I don't know. It's a horrible thing that we have to go with a translation form and we can't go back to the original Hebrew, but at least they're preserved that way. So if I'm reading Wisdom of Solomon, Hokmah Shalomo, or Sirach, I believe Sirach comes from the Septuagint. These are all books. The same books that were in the Septuagint are the Old Testament books that are in ours, but they also included those other books. Okay, that's why they were in the original King James. So anyway, we want to take this Greek text and we want to find where it matches what Peter, I think it was, what Peter was talking. I want to see if we have a match. So we're going to go to a interlinear to try. Well, I can actually go through it here with you this way. Okay, for 1,000 years in thy sight is as but yesterday. That's as far as we need to go on that one. And it's not really telling me down here. In the New Testament, when I highlight over these things, it tells me what the word is. So yeah, we're going to have to go to an interlinear. Bible Hub has a good interlinear. I think I'm going to cut down some of the video so it's not so long. Matter of fact, I could just go ahead and do part one. So I'm going to stop.